So how are you doing all? Having a good afternoon? Also desperate for a beer like I am? Okay. So how many of you remember let's say Gavin's talk and Web3 Summit 4 years ago when he unraveled a brand new MacBook Pro and showcased how to spin up a blockchain in under 60 seconds? So this was also when he introduced Substrate, and look where we are today, so 4 years later on the big stage, talking about the adoption, talking about the great projects that are being built on Polkadot. But despite a lot of projects that are being built on top, there's still a lot of lack for mainstream adoption. So enterprises, old school Web 2 devs building on blockchain. My name is Matjaž Sobočan, I'm the CEO and co-founder at Authtrail, and I'd like to showcase what we've built in the past years on help to accelerate the development on Polkadot, or Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem. What also happened 4 years ago, 2018, Authtrail was founded. Authtrail was first founded as a response to a European RFP. So a company in Germany was looking for a solution that would help them track their supply chain, bring more transparency, more integrity into their environment. And we had two options. Either we go and build a purpose-built blockchain just for their need, or we leverage what's already out there and help them with an easy on-ramp onto their existing systems. So what we built back then was API integrations into the old school legacy systems that they were already using. So SAP, Oracle, SQL, and so on. So basically all the enterprise applications that are incumbent in today's enterprises, in order to really give them an easy on-ramp onto blockchain without having to displace or disrupt their incumbent systems, but give them the benefit or the added value that Web3 or blockchain brings. The nature of the development, obviously being in 2018, Ethereum was the place to go. So we started building the first initial product on Ethereum. But Ethereum, basically, as we all know, kind of turned out to be unpredictable to build a real use case, business-oriented business on top of it. Forks, gas fees, unpredictability. I mean, if a huge NFT mint is going on, I have to explain my customer, look, I'm not able to hash your data on Ethereum right now because some CryptoKitties are being minted and so on. So we were in pursuit, we were looking for alternatives. And the most obvious choice for us was Moonbeam, to shift over from Ethereum to Polkadot and basically scale in the Polkadot enterprise-grade ready blockchain. So over the past years, or past months now, we've worked closely with the PureStake team, Moonbeam, to develop this B2B data integrity solution on top of Polkadot in integration with enterprise applications. What we've seen, however, from our customers and what they told us is it's nice to have this data integrity on top of our enterprise applications, but it's kind of like a nice-to-have feature. It's not something that changes our behavior toward our customers. It doesn't give us any monetary benefit. We need a solution that also translates into the B2C factor so that our customers can benefit from a solution. So we were thinking, what could we do in order to scale this a little bit further? So what would be the B2C approach? And a first use case or POC that we did with a customer who's building household appliances was, let's do an anti-counterfeiting use case. So basically make sure that your products that come out of the supply chain are authentic and you are the ones who produced it without having any copycats on the market. How we would do that, we would leverage and enable or bring another parachain into the game, what would be KILT, to enable digital identities for those companies, for our clients. So they would be the ones signing off every product coming off the supply chain. And if a customer, their customer, end customer would scan a QR code, they could verify that this product has been produced by this public ID, therefore guaranteeing the authenticity of the product. Then the client also came and look, now that we have those two parachains or those two solutions included, how about if we upload some data to the same product? How manuals, certificates, and all this kind of stuff. This is when trust came into play with the IPFS integration. Okay, we could tie this together to the storage layer. So this kind of snowballed into a much larger platform from the initial idea that we have of data integrity, which used to be our core module, but then basically turned into one module of a much larger platform. What we did see, however, while building is that it's not just straightforward to just go on each parachain, start building a front-end application that end users or clients can actually use. We saw there are a lot of obstacles coming. There are so many scripts, rules, specific setups, APIs, SDKs for each and every parachain, and scaling this up to the hundreds that's going to sooner or later run on Polkadot, and the same on Kusama. The overview, or basically the knowledge, this is going to explode. So what we saw while building this is that there are still 4 major obstacles, 4 major topics that need to be addressed in order to bring Polkadot or Dotsama's ecosystem to mainstream adoption. One would be to support popular programming languages, Java, JavaScript, TypeScript, C. So basically all the Web 2 developers that we saw in the presentation of Unique, we have 18,000 blockchain developers versus 27 million Web 2 developers, right? So bring them to blockchain with familiar languages. The second topic will be to define a set of unique specific setup rules. So basically, like most of you probably know Firebase, just drag and drop specific SDK, specific palettes, and you can build your application right away. We have XCMP, which is basically a technical solution for the interaction between blockchains. But the logical connections to really build an application that users are going to interact with, this is still lacking, right? When we were talking to different parachains, they say, look, we're still living in our own bubble. We have the domain knowledge, for example, for identity, for integrity, for storage, but we're not thinking beyond that, what could be actually built on top that users will use. And the last one is really to build a knowledge center, really to decrease the learning curve to onboard new developers into the ecosystem. So basically, this is when we then shifted over from the initial Authtrail 1.0 to Authtrail 2.0 and built the platform that I'm presenting here today. So where do we fit in? A quick comparison on the different verticals on how Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3 developed. So on Web 1, we had the, let's say, basic data transfer protocols like HTTP, SMTP, and so on, where we had self-built servers on top who would be hosting centralized services, and then we would have the read-only access to, from an app perspective. Then Web 2 came into the game. We had the same protocol layer, but infrastructures kind of shifted into the cloud with data centers, centralized services. We had managed services on top, like Firebase, Stripe, Mail later on, serving specific purposes to the applications that are being built on top, like the FANG infrastructure that we know today. And now with Web 3, where we see a new, smart, highly governed, highly secured protocol on Polkadot, whereas then we see the different parachains as the infrastructure layer. Comparing it, for example, to Ethereum, Solana, Tezos, and all the layer ones out there, they're all generic chains. You can run everything on them, DeFi, NFT, enterprise apps, and so on. The problem is, sooner or later, this gets clogged. You're then dependent on the network, on the specific chain, and you cannot, let's say, leverage the whole functionality. Whereas with the different parachains, obviously, they're all purpose-built. You have Moonbeam, KILT, Akala, Phala, Crust, and all those different parachains that are being built today, they serve a specific purpose, and they just do that. So in order, if you want to build an application on top of that, you pick the ones that suit your application best. And this is where we come into play as Authtrail. So we connect all the parachains at the back end and basically create simple APIs to the front end so that Web 2 developers can develop on Polkadot. Now this might look like a marketing slide to get your attention, but we actually have proof that we were able to accomplish 10 times faster, maybe even more, but we didn't want to exaggerate. We did the same application from our senior devs and gave it to our junior devs of one of our partners. Once was completely pure coded from our guys working with parachains and creating a solution at the front, and this is our platform being handed over to junior devs working with JavaScript, TypeScript, and so on, and they were actually able to accomplish the same result 10 times faster. So what does the complete toolbox like this look like? What were we offering? So at first we have simple cross-chain REST APIs with different use cases on top that you can just pick and select and basically build your application on top of it. What I believe is the most crucial part and very important is a single source of documentation. So unified API documentation with comprehensive code snippets, and it's one doc for everything. You go into Authtrail's documentation page and don't have to go into the documentation pages of each and every parachain to learn or to know what you're building. You can source your knowledge from this one documentation page at Authtrail. And the last thing would be that we were also building inclusive SDKs, like mentioned, for JavaScript, TypeScript, Java, and C. But it doesn't end here. We also need, obviously, a lot of monitoring analytics at the backend to understand what's going on in the backend. So we have real-time overview of the backend performance, transactions, balances, statuses of each parachain, what's going on in the backend, and then also very deep analytics to understand how to forecast the growth of each application on top of it. So what's being built today and what's already being integrated into the platform? So we are starting with 5 parachains in the backend. Moonbeam for data integrity, we have Phala for cloud computing, we have Akala for DeFi, KILT for digital identity, and Crust for the storage. Why we went with those different parachains for now is obviously Moonbeam was the first one when we did the migration from Ethereum, but then building out those different use cases for enterprise customers, those were the first ones that actually made sense when we were creating the solution for the customer. And basically each app or each let's say app in the Web3 ecosystem kind of needs a login process. You need storage for your data, and because serious enterprise apps need some serious data to provide data integrity, that's why we also went with Moonbeam. But we will obviously not stop here because the ecosystem is evolving. Because we see this as a plug-and-play solution for Web2 development. New parachains are being added as they're onboarded on Polkadot and Kusama, and then we're creating the intuitive, flexible, and effective APIs at the front. So this is basically it from my point of view, so how we see Polkadot getting more adoption in the enterprise. Happy to answer any more questions. My team and I are in a very large group here today, so we have the whole C-level, we have devs, we have advisors. So if you have any questions, want to cooperate with us, integration from the parachain side, happy to give you more insights. Thank you.
Okay, so for those who are old in the room, you know the drill, raise your hand, and a speaker, or shoot, now I'm getting tired, and the microphone will come to you. Yes, does anyone have any questions? That's a stretch. Okay, we got a question here up front on the pink beanbag.
Yeah. All right, so when there is a bug, I see there is a lot of steps of abstraction.
Yes.
So I imagine that debugging might be something that you guys have looked.
So could you speak a bit louder? Okay.
Yeah. So when there is a bug, how you debug through all the levels of abstraction, all the layers, down into the specific on-chain, on-chain application.
This is basically done through the monitoring module that we have integrated. So all the traction on the backend is being traced in the Authtrail platform layer. So basically, you have the ability to kind of go around the platform and go directly to the parachains in the backend as well. But it's all built into the platform, yeah.
Right, and how dependable is it from a developer perspective that Authtrail has to fix the bug?
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, let's say I build an application.
Yes.
And I use Authtrail, and I find a bug, and
yeah.
I mean, then it's on Authtrail to actually fix it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So then, is there a SLA? How does it work? How do you?
I mean, we have different packages that are going to be, because this is still in development basically, but there are different support packages that are able, because we're going to have a freemium, freemium version, we have a premium enterprise with specific SLAs. But we're kind of looking into the market, so having either Discord, Telegram, and so on, the freemium version, or then either email, phone support, on-site support to solve those issues out there.